I doubt there will be another game this year that stole my heart. This will most likely end up being my game of the year. I highly doubt there's going to be anything that's going to make me fall in love. Uh... Well, shit. Spoke too soon?
Don't fuck with me. I found this game on PlayStation Store. I never heard about it. I've never seen any previews of it, any trailers. I never knew this game existed when I found it on PlayStation Store for $29.99. It looked really interesting. I saw the trailer. I saw IGN's review. It looked really promising. And I decided to buy it on impulse for $29.99. I knew nothing about this game at all prior to checking out new games. I didn't know it existed at all. Period. This game was in development for 5 years, and I knew nothing about it. It was completely under the radar as far as like AAA quality games go. And I'm fucking in love with it. I'm in love with this game. And instead of just going into why I love it, I'm gonna save that part for last. I'm gonna talk about this game. I have to review this game. I have to review it. I have to talk about it. It's fucking important because this game really hit home with me on an emotional level, a mental level. It's about a girl with mental illness who lost a loved one. And it's something that's so serious and so important to me that I couldn't even make a funny skit on it. I just didn't feel like it. I'd feel like a piece of shit if I had done that. Because, you know what? I'll save that part for last. Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice is centered around Celtic and Norse mythology. And the main protagonist is a young woman named Senua, who has severe psychosis, as you can tell right here. She's really fucked up. You hear whispers throughout the entire game, and the whole game deals around really sensitive matters such as loss, and just feelings of guilt, and basically most of the plot involves her trying to find the soul of her dead loved one, Dillian. And that's really all I want to say about the story. It's very emotional. It's very incredibly told. It's just amazing. I'll leave it at that. The very first thing you'll notice in this game is how incredible the graphics are. This is the best looking game I have ever seen. Ever. Especially on people's faces. Especially on Senua's face. She looks real. She looks real. Druth looks very, very real. They used like this really advanced facial mapping and, facial animations and stuff like that. This is the most advanced facial capture I've ever seen yet. I mean, it looks like live action. When people talk, you can see like the way their mouths move is so accurate to real facial movement. It's unbelievable. No matter how much I play this game, I just can't get over how good it looks. Not even just that, not even just the characters, the environments too. The environments are so texturally detailed, and the lighting is amazing, and it's just such a beautiful video game. It is the best looking game I've ever seen yet. And this is an indie game? This is considered an indie game that looks better than any other AAA fucking Hollywood quality game, whatever type of word you want to use. I am at a loss for words at how great this game is. It is a visual marvel. It's a visual and maybe even technical marvel. It's a very groundbreaking looking game. And the sound is incredible too. The whispers, the audio is like 3D. You could hear whispers from the left, whispers from the right, and I don't even need headphones. I don't even need to wear headphones to hear that, to pick that up. My brain picks it up so easily. And I heard that the game is even better when you play it with headphones. I hear it's like creepy as fuck when you hear whispers into your ears. It's a very disturbing video game. It's very freaky. You could almost call it a borderline horror game. I mean, it's not, but sometimes it feels like it because of how eerie the sound is. It's a very good sounding game too. Like I said, fucking groundbreaking. It really is. But let's talk about the gameplay now. Now, Hellblade is mostly a linear adventure game. You could even call it a walking simulator if you like, but there's more to it than just that. There are lore stones that you find. They're basically the collectibles of the game, and they tell you a lot of backstory, and I really like that. There are puzzles. At first, most of the puzzles are just aligning symbols to open doors and stuff like that. And it starts getting a little repetitive, but then it starts introducing more puzzles, like illusion gates that when you look into them and walk through them, they unlock hidden parts of the map. There are mind repairs. They're kind of like the align puzzles, only when you align these up, they fix staircases and stuff and bridges. There's a level where you can go from past and present and do things in the past to change the present and move forth like that. So that there are puzzles, a lot of puzzles actually. There's also a combat system. Now the combat system I actually enjoy. It's very smooth. It's actually very responsive. You have light attacks, heavy attacks. You can block. You can counterattack just as an enemy is about to hit you. There is this I forgot what they call it, but a mode where you can kind of like freeze time and hit people while they're frozen. There are enemies that are covered in shadow, and you need to use. Oh no, it's called focus. It's called the focus mode. You need to use the focus mode to unveil them. There are also a few bosses here and there. Now, I love how there's no HUD at all. There's no health bar. There's no radar or compass or anything. There's no anything. When you're close to dying in the game, your screen begins to flash red a little bit. You can hear whispers saying that she's not gonna make it. She's not gonna make it. She's gonna die. You know, and when enemies are about to hit you, you get warnings from those whispers, like evade and dodge and watch out, behind you, stuff like that. There's no tutorials on these whatsoever. There's no tutorials at all. It just pits you right into the action. Now, when you pause the game, it does give you the controls. So, you pause the game, you don't really need tutorials. It's basically right there. No tutorial needed. The way the opening of the game is set up, like say like the first half hour or so, it introduces you to all these mechanics, like dying and the combat and stuff like that. It does a great introduction of what is to come. It really lets you know what the rest of the game is gonna be like. Creepy, fucking combat, whispers in your head. It's a great setup to an amazing game. Now, the game is currently not a perfect game. There are a few bugs scattered here and there. Like walking through a door that you had previously opened when you last played the game. The door is supposed to be open, it's closed, but I can still walk through it. And a few like dialogue subtext glitches here and there that don't go away when someone talks in another sentence or page. Sometimes it just does this. I don't fucking know what that is. There's also reported to be a particular game-breaking bug. I didn't run into it. I don't know what I did to avoid it. All I know is it's probably there, and it needs to be patched. I don't like it when games are released with game-breaking bugs. So yeah, that's literally the only thing I don't like about the game. There are bugs. Literally the only thing. Okay, so before I talk about what I was going to talk about at the beginning of my review, my feelings and stuff like that, I want to have a little discussion on the permadeath controversy. At the beginning of the game literally tells you that if you die too many times, your save file will be deleted, all your progress will be lost, and you'll have to start all over again. Now, this never happened to me. And I've died, I believe I died around 6 times throughout. I died twice on the same checkpoint. No one is talking about this, really. No one is complaining about this. I really don't think it's true. I think the reason why they said this was to make you as afraid and anxious as the main protagonist is of failure. The game wanted to scare you. Almost like an introduction of not trusting what the game is telling you. A lot of the game, you're gonna be deceived. A lot of the times, the game is gonna tell you stuff that you shouldn't do, like the whispers in your head and shit, and the main antagonist or whatever. So I think that message was kind of part of the whole psychosis experience. Now, maybe there is a permadeath. Maybe if you die enough times on the same checkpoint, then, and only then, will your save be deleted.
All of her suffering will have been for
Now,
nothing.
it states that the
It's just a matter
the crap on her arm, the more it goes up, if it goes all the way up to her head from her hand, the game will end. But the way I saw it, it only kept growing as the story got further and further along. So yeah, I don't really believe in it. I really don't think this is true. I think the permadeath mechanic is a bluff, but it is a really cool way of making you afraid of death and failure. By doing that, it actually makes you a better player. It makes you more on your feet when it comes to combat. It makes you more cautious. And I really love that. I feel like if it wasn't for that message, I would have died more, ironically. So, yeah, I just wanted to have a discussion on the permadeath thing. For people who are watching this, who, are kind of on the fence on buying it based on the permadeath thing, I really don't think it's going to happen to you, because it hasn't happened to anybody, I don't think. I mean, really, if this is really true, then it would have happened to a lot of people, and a lot of people would have been bullshit about it. So, yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, it deceives you, but it keeps you on your toes, and it makes you more immersed into the mind of Senua. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that for a few minutes. I love the presentation of this game. The graphics are great. The audio is magnificent. The camera angles, the cinematography, the voice acting. I forgot to mention the fucking voice acting. Probably the greatest performance I've ever seen from Senua's actor, Melina Juergens. I hope I pronounced that name right. Good job. Good job, Melina. You're younger than me. You are younger than me. And you are so freaking talented.
I have to face it alone.
If it wasn't for you, this game would not have been made. Your performance was spectacular. And I hope you win awards by the end of this year. I really do. Your facial animations, the emotions that you put into your character, was just... I can't even find a word for it. I cannot find a word for it. Okay, now I'll talk about what I wanted to talk about from the very beginning. My relation to this game, and my depression, and the sort of mental illness that I kind of suffer from when I tend to talk to myself a lot. Maybe I have mild Asperger's, I don't know. But sometimes I can hear voices in my head. Not telling me what to do or anything like that, but conversations in my head. Sometimes with other people in the world, real people. Sometimes people I've lost, like my best friend from college, who I lost last year. I miss him. I miss my friend. And a lot of times I tend to relive these moments I had with them. These moments, these conversations, these laughs, these jokes, making fun of other people, you name it. I've been there, and I'm still there. To the point where I wish I could have done something about it. I wish I could have done something to help my friend, to prevent him to do what he did. I feel Senua. I feel her so deeply. And when you go through the journey with her, in a way, I felt like I was her. And the way the story is told, it's very heavy on mental illness. The subject of mental illness is quite possibly the heaviest point that this game comes across. And the way it's told is opposite of cliche. It's opposite of a third perspective looking at someone who has mental illness and trying to sympathize with that person, or pretending to sympathize with this individual who has a mental illness.
They can break you.
People who don't have what she has can never understand what she's going through, can never understand how she feels. And a lot of times we try helping these people, like suicide hotlines and stuff like that. And you know what? It doesn't help, really. It doesn't. Because only people who have felt that way, who have survived feeling that way, possibly their entire lives, would have any understanding of another individual who suffers from this. Sorry. Crap. And I felt it. It was told from the perspective of the victim. So it wasn't like all boo-hoo, wah, I feel bad for this person. It wasn't a sob story. It wasn't a soap opera. It did have some sad moments in it, though. But it wasn't overly melodramatic. It was very raw. It was dark. It was insane. It was crazy. She was on a quest to find someone who was already dead, because she couldn't let go of loss. She couldn't let go of him. She couldn't handle the loss, so she kept going at it, and it makes you confused on what may be real or fake in the game. For all we know, that whole game is inside her head. Everywhere you go, everything you see is inside her head. This is a very it is an art game. It's very much like an art game, like Journey or Shadow of the Colossus, stuff like that, where you don't exactly know what's going on, but you feel it. You feel what's going on without even knowing what the hell is going on. That's what's so special about Hellblade. Um, I, I'm at a loss for words to accurately express my feelings for this game because of how close I was connected to this person, Senua. I was almost like in love with her. Like I wanted to marry her. And she's not even real. She's not even a real person. She's a goddamn video game character. But I wanted to be with her. You know, I wanted her to be happy. I wanted her to get out of this curse that she's in. And every time I step away from it, I'm like, oh my god, there are people who are like this. There are people who are like Senua. And it's a very inspiring game. It's the most inspiring game about the human condition that I've ever played, seen, or heard of. Everyone should play Hellblade. It's not that challenging. It's not that hard at all. The puzzles aren't too hard. You know, I mean, you're gonna start it. You're gonna beat it. It's an $8. Not $8. It's an 8-hour long game, or maybe a little shorter than that. But if you're very thorough with the collectibles and exploration, it can be 8 hours long, if not maybe even a little more. Getting the platinum in this game only requires you to beat it and get all collectibles. That's it. And I already got the platinum in this game, and I am saddened that I've already exhausted all the content in this game. Now, for $30, it is more than worth it still. It's more than worth it. Hell, it'd even be worth $40. This game is $30, and it actually is longer than some games that are $60. Like The Order 1886. Or, you know, a lot of shooters, actually. It was like the same length as Gears of War 4. The campaign in Gears of War 4. It's the same price as Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes was, and that game was only an hour or two long. Maybe 3 hours if you do all the objective missions or whatever, side missions in that game. It's twice as long as Journey, and Journey was only 2 hours long, and Journey was more of a walking simulator with no content and less gameplay substance than Hellblade. And you know what? It is underrated. I'm not saying that as an opinion, I'm saying that as a fact. I don't understand why it only has an 82 on Metacritic. Granted, an 82 is not bad for any game, but this one especially should be at least like a 90 or 91. It is phenomenal. It is visually groundbreaking. The writing is groundbreaking for a story, for a video game. The way the story is told, like I said, from the perspective of the victim. Have you ever read the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? It is told in a first-person view of a victim who is in an insane asylum. Get this game. The only thing I hate about buying this game is the fact that there's no physical copy. There's no hard copy. It's digital only, and that sucks. I hope that in the future they will release it on disc. But for a digital only title, it's still worth it. $30, man. $30. It's not a big risk at all. Alright, you might not like it as much as me, but I really think you should check it out. It's unlike anything I've ever played. My final score for this game, it cannot be a 10 right now because of those bugs. It cannot be a 10, but I will give it a 9.5 out of 10. Spectacular, exquisite, beautiful, incredible. Hellblade is all of those words. It earns it. And when they patch this game, hopefully when, I will update it to a 10. I'll be happy to update it to a 10 out of 10. If they can patch those bugs that are, you know, very few and far in between, but still present. Yeah. Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Talk about a goddamn sleeper hit, man. It is the sleeper hit of the year. Now, I'm not going to say it's my game of the year, because I said that about Neo, and I might like this one even more. Even though I gave Neo a 10, from a critical standpoint, Hellblade is more personal to me than Neo. That being said, I don't know if there's going to be another game that I like as much as Hellblade or Neo this year. It's not going to be any of these, you know, Destiny 2 or Evil Within 2 or Assassin's Creed Origins or anything like that. Any of those blockbuster hits coming out, because I already know what they're going to turn out like. What you got to watch out for are the sleeper hits, the under the radar ones, the ones that have no hype whatsoever, the ones that people don't talk about. Oftentimes those are the best games ever, are the ones that people overlook. So yeah guys, thank you very much for watching. This review turned out a lot longer than it should be, because it's only an 8-hour long game, but hey, it's a unique one. It's unlike anything I've ever played. You really have to check it out. Prepare to be moved. I don't say that lightly. It takes a lot for me to get moved, and this really did it. Great job, Ninja Theory. I've never played any of your other games, but I think I will now. So, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time, whenever that may be.
The Gamer Gods fail! In this waking nightmare, where all dreams come true, you searched for control, a way to pull through. When you were in love, you left him in tears, to smother your furies and banish your fears. But in darkness they came, through stormy black seas they raided these shores. Do you still hear his screams? And now that you're home, he's so far away. They've taken his soul. To these gods you cannot pray. They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through his darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart. He fought for love unspoilt by your darkness within. You fought for your dreams. Now there's no way to win. In the head of his corpse lies the seat of his soul. So you must carry his vessel to bring him back home.
You did this! No! No!
They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through this darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart.